the stars of today, the students of the new batch of 2021. A very warm welcome to this event, and thank you for having me here. It's always one of life's pleasures and privileges to come back to your alma mater or to your college that you studied in, especially at the postgraduate level. At the postgraduate stage of life that you belong to, your faculties are at the best. It's one of the best stages of your life. And it perhaps has some of the best memories that you will carry. Some of the events of your postgraduate life leads you on to maybe even marriage. Some friendships are lifelong in nature. And the inspiration that you draw from the people that you meet, the projects that you do, and the stuff that you go through in college have a lasting impact in your later life. So I'm grateful to Madras School of Social Work eternally for everything that it did to me and shaping my life, my thinking, and what I did in my career later on. And I'm sure it'll work the same for all of you too. So this is perhaps the best stage of your life, and you must come away with great memories of Madras School of Social Work. I still have, when we were there in college, we had a coffee shop, Shashikada, that is just at the entrance where we spent a lot of time. Some would argue that we spent too much time, but I think that those were career shaping and career and character forming moments that we spent there. We also had a car park, and we also had a telephone box near the hostel where we spent a lot of time, and none of this may be there. But these were the spots of the college that we all belonged to. But without taking more time, I'd like to get on to a small presentation, which I will use to convey some thoughts that I have. Here we go. So the first thing I'd like to tell you is that all of you are actually already achievers in a manner of speaking. If you look at the Indian educational system, out of a population of about 1.3 to 1.4 billion people, only about 10% of the entire population sign up to go to primary schools. That's about 127 million. And finally, only about 1.6 million make it out for about 16 million make it for post-graduation, which means that less than 1% of India's population make it to the post-graduation stage. So if you live in India, you must consider yourself to be a member of that 1% club, of the 1% of the Indian population that reaches post-graduation. Of course, to get here, you would have gone through a lot. You'd have had to pass through your 10th, 12th, your graduation, dealt with events that were perhaps not going in the right direction, been in the wrong place at the wrong time, had health issues, family issues, but at the end of it, you've reached today the stage where you belong to 1% of the population. So congratulations on making it this far. But what you do in the next 2 years is what I think will determine the rest of your life. So it's important that you get this part of your career right. I also want to bring out one point here. If you look at Afghanistan, which is mostly in the news today, out of a population of about 40 million people, only 3.7 million people get to go to school today, and much less get to finish education. Just imagine the circumstances in which people live across the world. So we should eternally be thankful for the opportunities we get and for the ability to go to a college like Madras School of Social Work with the vintage that it has, with the character that it brings, and the faculty that are able to teach you. All along in my life, I've looked up to some role models, and I think these four have been very special to me and have had a key role to play in shaping my thinking. And I thought I would share at this moment who these four people are. The first one is Mother Teresa. At the age of 18 and maybe about 70 years ago, she left a country called Albania, which was itself a poor country, to come and live far away in Calcutta in India. Progressively, she built a huge organization, the Missionaries of Charity. Today, that organization is present in about 139 countries, has about 5,200 members. Members meaning sisters who are participating in it. And each of these 5,200 members have a very frugal existence. They keep 2 saris and very little personal possessions. All their life is dedicated towards taking care of the destitute and those who have less. They empathize with people. This entire organization is built around the empathy and love that they have for the people who have less. I think she personifies what sometimes is not very easily available around the world today. The ability to love people who have less. In our search for wealth, in our search for possessions, in our search for comforts, sometimes we leave people along the way and get to our goal without thinking about who we've passed by. Her goal was all about taking care of such people who are getting left out. So I think it's she's a fantastic example of how to cultivate empathy in your life for people around you. The second person who's always fired my imagination is Dr. Abdul Kalam. Dr. Abdul Kalam again came from, as many of you know, from the state of Tamil Nadu, from a poor family in Rameshwaram, studied at the Madras Institute of Technology, the Anna University, did his graduation from there, went on to head DRDO, ISRO, and led the team that had India's first nuclear explosion at Pokhran. All along, he was associated with some of the firsts in India. How did somebody who came from down south, Rameshwaram, going through extreme poverty in his early stages of life, have such a vision for his country, have such a vision for himself, have such a vision for society? I think it comes from motivation. It comes from his motivation to create a better life for people around him. It comes from his motivation to bring science into people's lives. Very often, the ability to have space travel in a country is associated with the extent of scientific development a country itself has. Space travel itself embodies a number of aspects of technology that a country should possess or a society should possess. It needs directional principles, propulsion, it needs cryogenic engines. So all of this technology is cutting edge. And one man who came out of poverty had the vision to craft, design, and implement India's missile system. And that's, I think, vision at its very best. Further on, he went on to become the President of India. As a President of India, he gave that office a new meaning. He gave it a meaning because he brought in ordinary people into Rashtrapati Bhavan. He brought in a human touch to that, sort of glorified office that India has. And Abdul Kalam, with vision, I think, for the generation that he belonged to, gave them all a purpose in life. And he's, I think, a fantastic example. Further on, there are two gentlemen who are always present in our everyday life, Sergey Brin and Larry Page. I can't imagine anybody on this group of about 250 to 300 people on this group here who don't Google in a day. They touch our lives every day. You're looking for maps, you're looking for timetables. Not many people catch flights now, but when you used to, you're looking for flight information. You're looking for information. If you want to know about Mother Teresa now, I'm sure some of you are already Googling to check a little bit more about Mother Teresa. Sergey Brin and Larry Page brought information to our fingertips. What was the privilege of a few people became democratized. With Google, information reached out to everybody. With about 5.6 billion searches every day, you can imagine the amount of information being downloaded by users across the world. And this information solved problems in the world. It helped you and me find a route to get to somebody's house. It helped you and me know more about Mother Teresa. It helped you and me check about Madras School of Social Work before we applied for it. It helped you and me get our knowledge in place before we went for an entrance examination. And more than anything is they're moving it forward from just information dissemination to solving fundamental problems in society like health, education, etc. And that's, I think, a fantastic story of how they went out becoming problem solvers. All of us, when we graduate from college, while we should have empathy and vision, we should also carry the ability to problem solve. As employees in a company, as entrepreneurs, as maybe even as family members or housewives, every day you're problem solving. And problem solving was taken to another level, but by these two gentlemen who institutionalized information sharing and created a structure by which technology took it out to everybody who wanted it free of cost. So problem solving is going to be a key attribute that all of you should have as you get into everyday work lives. The last person is a very inspiring person, Warren Buffett. He's 90 years old. I've had the fortune of meeting people who worked with him at a very close level, maybe just one level below him. And it's an amazing story of how somebody who sold magazines in his team and got his first income tax return maybe by the age of 15 or so, reinvested all his capital into building Berkshire Hathaway, and today runs perhaps one of the most cash-rich companies in the world. Warren Buffett had 2 or 3 attributes. He lived a very frugal life. He lives in a house that he bought in Omaha maybe about 40 years ago. He lives in the same house. He drives a car that he bought maybe again another 30 years ago. And he looked at buying only appreciating assets, not depreciating assets. So all of you should remember one thing. If you're going to buy a new branded car all the time, it's a depreciating asset, and you use it for 5 years and it's worth nothing at the end of it. So while you carry a brand for some time, in 5 years' time, you depreciate your own wealth. These are the lessons that Warren Buffett learned very early on. He used the cash that he earned to put it back into business of further wealth-creating opportunities, and therefore created from scratch a very, very large, sustainable, and very successful investing organization called Berkshire Hathaway. He currently has a net worth in excess of $100 billion. And one of his principles in life was to invest in businesses that if he invested and went to sleep for 5 years, if he woke up at the end of 5 years, that business should still be there and be successful. So, I would leave that point in your mind when you think of becoming investors. Some of you would become, I'm sure. But remember to invest in long-term businesses with a long-term approach to business and generating cash and not being valuation driven. So these are the 4 people I'll leave with you. One for empathy, one for vision in your life, one as a problem-solving ability, and one wealth creation. Wealth creation is important in many ways. It satisfies your ability to go and look for things that you want to do. As you get older in life, you suddenly want to catch a flight, go somewhere, visit a country, eat in a specific restaurant, buy yourself something, give education to your children. All of that costs money. So you should plan for wealth creation also in the frugal way that Warren Buffett planned for, and he obviously made a very big success out of it. So remember these 4 people and how they've been terrific role models for the generation that definitely I belong to and will also inspire the next. Some attributes that have been important for me. In life, everybody looks for few things that somebody represents. Today, you look at Coke, Pepsi, Maggi noodles, or let's say Nokia phones, or BlackBerry, or General Motors cars, or Tesla, big brands. There'll be 3 or 4 attributes that strike you about each brand. That Tesla is tech savvy, it's energy efficient, it's a green car, it drives by itself. Something strike you about that. Similarly, about people, when you refer about people, there'll be 3 or 4 things that strike you about people. And all of you should think, what will people remember you for when they think about you? And these memories of who you are and what you do come from what attributes you have in your life. If you have the right attributes, people will remember you for the attributes. 4 points that have always been important for me is doing the right thing. One of the things that I always think about when I'm in a dilemma about what to do is what would my dad do in this situation? That's an easy test for me. If I think about should I do this or should I do something else, and then think about what my dad would have done, it very easily settles the question in my mind about what to do. And that, I think, drives a sort of straight path that you should have in your life. Many call it integrity. I would call it a way of life. So integrity is a way of life. The second thing is, as Neeraj Chopra you would see on your screen, is giving it your all. Every job you do, whether it's cleaning your toilet, driving your car, teaching your kids, working in office, or just creating a garden in your house, you must give it your best. You must work as hard as you can to do what is the best for that moment. And if you give it your all, more likely than not, you will enjoy what you're doing and come out successful too. The combination of enjoying something, of doing something, and being successful is the best situation to be in life. If you are successful but you don't enjoy it, it's a lousy situation. So, and more often, you'll end up doing well if you also enjoy what you're doing. And to enjoy what you're doing, you'll have to give it your all. So that's the axis between effort level, your happiness with what you're doing, and your outcomes. And if you're able to triangulate this, I think you'll all be very successful in your life. The other aspect is helping others. There'll be every day somebody comes to you for help. When you're waiting at a street corner for a traffic light, somebody's harassing you for, let's say, 5 rupees of money. There'll be charitable organizations that will come in. There'll be children of yours that will come to you and ask you for time. There'll be in-laws of yours that will ask you for other aspects. There'll be parents that will take things from you. Your colleagues will be taking some things from you. All your life, you're giving. You must know that. All your life, you're giving. And the more you give, the more you'll get back. And I think it's important that you continually help people in any situation that you get. If you become cold, if you become, let's say, uninclined to receiving requests for help, lesser number of people will come to you. You will be in your own corner, but similarly, remember, lesser people will be there to help you yourself. So it's important that you're always giving some of your time, effort, and your ability to people around you. There was a story that my dad once told me, which I think I should tell you. He told me that in a harvest, you lay all what you gathered from the field in front of the house, in front of the courtyard of the house, and then you'll chaff it, and you take the rice alone up from it and leave the chaff away, and then often you'll gather all your harvest. Always you'll gather all your harvest and your rice and take it back and put it into your attic. Sometimes there's some left behind while you're harvesting it. He used to always say, leave a little behind. It doesn't matter. Don't try and gather every bit of grain from your harvest, because the birds need a little bit. The neighbors will come and take some little bit and go away. Maybe the staff in the house will gather it and make a meal out of it. But to leave a little behind is to spark the next harvest. So it's not important for you to take everything away from a harvest. Leave a little behind, and through that you're also helping other people. And lastly, have a belief in a God. There is a higher power, and that higher power guides you. Sometimes luck is the representation of God's work in your life. When you say you got lucky, many of you will consider yourself lucky to be in Madras School of Social Work today, I'm sure. You'll consider yourselves luckier to graduate from here and find your first jobs and to know what the college did for you and how it contributed to shaping your life. So, that doing or the combination of circumstances that you find yourselves here with 150 other people to study, to find a job, to go through these experiences is the work of God. And sometimes you call it luck, but always acknowledge the position of God and luck in your life. So a little bit about my journey. I grew up in Chennai. I've talked to you about who inspired me and what I've looked upon as attributes in my own life. But I think I should tell you a little bit about where I grew up. I grew up in Ananagar, next to the Ananagar Tower. I started staying there in 1973. So it's about 13 plus another 21 years, about 45 years almost that I've been staying in Ananagar. I used to, in my early years, I used to cycle it to college, but my second year I had a bike. So I used to take a bike and come to Madras School of Social Work. My father and mother used to, that's the house that we've stayed in all our life. My father used to work in a company called Dunlop in those days. The generation in those days had one house, one job, one boss, one car, one wife, all their life. But, a lot of things have changed today. So I belong to that generation of parents where everything was singular. I was influenced by my, father and mother in many ways. They were immigrants who came from Kerala. My father studied Madras School of Social Work, got a job, built a house, grew a family. 2 children, me and my sister, we both grew up and then took jobs outside in Bangalore and moved away. What I learned from them was the value of hard work, that with the extent of effort that you put in, nothing is beyond you. The second is, of course, integrity, like I talked to you about. The third is importance of relationships in business, or in anything that you do. I think it's important that we carry away good memories. At the end of life, all that you carry is only memories. Memories come out of quality in relationships and your integrity in the events that transcend your relationships. So, your relationships make a lot of, make your environment. And my parents taught me that it's important to have good relationships and not to have messed up, fights with people and stuff like that. A stable family environment also contributes. So for those of you who are planning to get married or settle down, ensure that, what the wife says is always right for the boys, and for the girls, occasionally the husband is also right. So you should also consider the fact that a stable environment is important to getting the best out of your work life. Money, at the end of the day, is a derivative of all this. How hard you work, how much integrity you have, what type of relationships you carry, and what quality of family life you've got. Money, if you work only for money, it's seldom that you'll get it. But if you've got all of the four, it's possible that you will make a lot of money in your life. So a little bit more. So I finished in 1990 from Madras School of Social Work. then there was, I don't know if there is a gold medal there called the Maria Philip Gold Medal. In my batch, there was one, and I found my way to that medal, and then got a job as a trainee with Murugappa Group, and then went on to join as an executive at Godrej Boys. So you realize that both these companies in the 90s were hiring people only from premier institutes, and they took one from Madras School of Social Work. So the message I want to give you is that if you finish from here, have your head on your shoulders, and you can work hard. You can compete with the best in society. You can compete with the best pass outs from wherever they come, and hold your own and scale your career. So I worked for about 10 years in Bombay, and in between I got chosen to be Stemning Scholar to go and study at the Leeds University. I did that, and then came back and founded my first company in 2000, which is called People One Consulting. I was fortunate in those days to have a good client, represented by Mr. Muthukumar Thanu, who's today here at Madras School of Social Work as a secretary. They gave us a lot of work to start a temping business. We grew a temping business, and it became a very successful business, which we then sold to Adecco. Adecco is the world's largest human resources company. I went on to sit on the executive board of Adecco in Zurich for about 2 or 3 years before founding my next startup called IKEA Human Capital Solutions. Went on to become Quest Corp. Quest Corp is today India's largest private sector company in terms of employment. It employs about 370,000 people. We have operations today across India, Middle East, Southeast Asia. We are the largest temping company in Sri Lanka. We are the largest professional staffing company in Singapore. We have about 1,600 people working there. In the Middle East, we're among the top 3. We're present in Cambodia, Vietnam. We also own a portal called Monster. Some of you may be applying for jobs through Monster. We also bought the entire back end of the Tata Group. It was called Tata Business Support Solutions, now called Connect Business Solutions, among India's largest BPOs. We went on to buy the largest payrolling company in India, a company called Allsec, which is a Chennai-based company. So one thing led to another, and today we've got a market cap of close to about 13,000 crores, which is almost about $2 billion. We've got Fairfax as an investor from Canada. Fairfax is run by a gentleman who's known as the Warren Buffett of Canada. Fairfax has about 70 billion of assets under management, including Sanmar in Chennai, which is a portfolio company of theirs, the Bangalore International Airport, of course, and a few others. Along with Fairfax, we also have Amazon as an investor. Recently, Capital invested in our company as late as about 10 days ago. Capital is among the top 5 funds in the world. They have more than 3 trillion of assets under management. Their assets under management is equal to almost the GDP of India. And we're privileged to get them on board, in addition to a bunch of other investors like Rothschild and a couple of sovereign funds. So, sometimes we've been asked by bankers, how is it that you've got all these acquisitions right? In 10 years, you built India's largest human resource company and also the largest private sector employer. My standard reply has been that God is a Mallu. And I think he favors us because he's a Malayali. But what I want to emphasize here is that I think we must know that luck plays a big important. Of course, we worked a bit hard, and we are fortunate to have a lot of good colleagues here in office. But the breaks that you get in life are very important, and that I think fashioned the success. And because of that, I think we've got to where we are. And I'm sure when you look back on your own careers a few years later, you will say that God is a Tamilian or God is a Marwari, depending on wherever you come from. But you will always say that luck had a big role to play in your own life too. So this is just a small slide about the progress of our company. We had an IPO in 2016. We had a oversubscription about 145 times, which was the largest oversubscribed company in India at that time. And then we followed on with an institutional placement program for about 873 crores. So we have a capital base in excess of about 2,000 crores today. And that's what led to all the acquisitions that we did. So in a sense, you and me have met before, or rather you and Quest have met before. Each time you shop, maybe at Bata, the guy selling you shoes in the shop is maybe a Quest employee. When you go to buy a Samsung phone, the person who's selling you the phone in the shop is usually a Quest employee. So a lot of point of sale related salespeople are trained people from Quest selling goods and services to you. The offices that you work in maybe are cleaned and maintained by us. We have the largest facility management business in India. We clean about 260 million square feet, including airports, railway stations, etc., across India. So, some of the spaces that are, including educational institutions, all of the Manipal institutions we take care of. And similarly, even some of the northern universities. So cleaning and maintaining public spaces is another job that we do. When you make a phone call, the optimization of towers is done by us. We have a business where there are almost about 430,000 cell phone towers in India, maybe about 75,000 towers in India. We maintain these networks. So it optimizes these networks and ensures that call drops come down to the least. The next time there's a call drop, don't think that we are the cause for it. We're helping reduce it. We're not helping to increase it. So that's another of the jobs that we do. We also deliver parcels to you. We deliver about maybe 100,000 parcels across India for various clients of ours. Every time, somewhere in the north, in specific districts where you pay electricity bills, those bills are billed by us and the cash is collected by us through electronic methods. We also secure workspaces. We have a security business called Terrier. We have almost 20,000 security guards. They take care of offices. They take care of airports, any public space. So you'll find that a number of things that we, including searching for jobs. Monster, India's second largest jobs database and job board is actually owned by us. So if you're applying for a job or putting your CV up there, it's possible that the database is sitting on our server. So that's Quest, the combination of all of these things that we do. So, in finishing off, I want to quote Steve Jobs in what he said, that entrepreneurs are different from, the successful entrepreneurs are different from the non-successful ones. And the difference is perseverance and passion. And without perseverance and passion, it's difficult to survive. I think we should replace the word entrepreneurs by just saying human beings. Human beings with passion and perseverance are the ones that are going to survive. And your starting point is, of course, MSSW. What you learn at MSSW, not many other colleges can teach you. I can assure you that. MSSW teaches you about relationships because it's a co-ed college. There are projects to do. There are team-based activity, and there are lecturers. At least in my time, definitely there are lecturers that encourage people to develop the right relationships between groups. So how we relate to people in the future got trained and fine-tuned in the manner that we grew up in college. The second thing is that you learned a little about a lot of things in MSW. You may not learn very deep down about one particular topic, but it makes you more rounded as a professional when you get into industry. So for you to learn a little about everything is also a good thing. So the curriculum is crafted in that way where you learn a lot. So you become a better rounded person. If you want specific knowledge deeper into any particular areas of interest, I think you should pursue that, and lecturers will help you get there. But the all-round curriculum that MSSW has makes you better professionals. Lastly, I think MSSW teaches you some human values because you're living with social work people around you, because you're living with a different set of specializations, not just related to human resources. You also get to see the human side of life. And that, I think, drives you to accept realities in society, tune your thinking and your efforts to what works for society, even while taking decisions that are of commercial nature. So all of these three things, I think, make you better students. And that's the differentiation between this college and many of the other competing colleges that have similar specializations. So I want to wish you all the best. I think this is the best stage of your life. You're building relationships, you're studying something, you're going to be inspired by a lot of things that you see around you. And this is a stepping stone for what perhaps will be, the time of your life when you're giving back to society a bit. So far, you've been consuming things from society. You've been taking things from your parents, you've been taking from your lecturers, you've been taking from your colleagues at class. But when you finish from here and go back into working lives, you're going to start giving. And that preparation begins from your first day here. So to all of you here, the 250 students here, it's a bright batch, I'm sure, to have gotten here. My best wishes. And I look forward to connecting with some of you in the future. But take your first steps forward with a lot of energy, a lot of enthusiasm. Give your best in what you do, and I'm sure you'll find the bright side of life in everything you do. All the best. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for a stupendous and motivational speech. After listening to you, I just remember the quote, leadership quote. A leader is one who knows the way, goes the way, and shows the way. by John C. Maxwell, by American leadership speaker. So I remember this quote after listening to you. I hope all the students will follow you. Thank you, sir. Over to you, Anjali. Anjali?
We now have the felicitation address by our Honorable Secretary, Mr. Muthukumar Danu, HR Head, Taffy and Asia Tractors and Engines. To introduce him, I invite Professor Priya Doris.
Thank you, Dr. Adrian. Good afternoon to one and all present here. It's an honor to introduce our Secretary, Mr. Muthukumar Danu. He is a proud alumnus of MSSW institution belonging to the batch of 1981. Apart from holding a master's degree in social work, he also holds a certificate in Advanced Human Resource Executive Program from Ross School of Management and Harvard, Michigan, US. He is also a certified assessor on Malcolm Baldrige Excellence of Work, job evaluation techniques like Hayes and Mercer, and many more. His career graph spread from BHEL, Red Bull, Bar Theatre, Multipakru, and he is currently heading the human resource function for Tata Group of companies. The industry spectrum ranges from power sector, engineering, FMCG, MNC, telecom, fashion, and auto industry. He is always actively involved in shaping the company's long-term HR vision and strategy. He is well known for transformational and people-oriented HR profession with rich experience in the field of HR. He has been a recipient for Best HR Practices from Bar Theatre, Whirlpool, and Multipakru. His broad areas of expertise are employee engagement, leadership development, performance management, and employee relations. Sir, we welcome you to do the felicitation.
Thank you, ma'am. I think the speech by us, Ajit, was like tsunami. It actually provokes each one of us so much. The kind of journey that he has gone through. Ajit, now it's the similar case when leaders came and spoke. When you are growing in an institution, when you are part of an organization, actually it made impact in a number of ways. Some of us picked up, learned out of it, moved on, and it has made us gain. I'm sure that your speech is going to be remembered by this younger lot of people for a long time to come. Two things I need to be proud of. I think the institution where I passed out from, the same institution that you are getting into, the number of things this institution has taught me, I'm sure that Ajit has reflected in a number of ways. I'm very, very happy that basic character of the institution hasn't changed for years. Today, I walk in not as a student, obviously. I walk in as an official member, but the character remains as an institution. Yeah, co-education has always been. I actually see the freedom what was given then, it continues to be there. Okay, one symbolic gesture of that would be when principal walks around, when a teacher walks around, people do not just get up and it's some kind of a symbolic gesture of there's somebody, an authority walking around. They do have respect, but then the place is far more friendly than most institutions are. Second, the kind of opportunities that you people will be blessed with as you move along, depending on how much you're going to be preparing yourself. Now, opportunities are far more than what I would have had or far more than what Ajit would have had, right? 2 years is going to be making tremendous amount of difference. Third one, which is very, very important, is the nature of this institution being secular. You will not be out of place. I think does not matter what your faith is, does not matter what your language is. In fact, the board now at this point of time, we are trying to make the institute as diverse as possible. That's a great character of this institute. Now, each one of you there who's walking into the institution, you're a privileged lot in a number of ways, right? Like what Ajit said, only about 1% of the entire country's population get into post-graduation, right? Out of this 1% of the population, possibly about 2% would be getting into the institute, which is as reputed as this institute is, right? I'm sure that you have made yourself eligible, not that the institution has invested in the past. You are invested in yourself. You have made yourself eligible, and you're walking in today. Okay. Having said that, I'll come to that a little later. So you're walking into a great institution in addition to having been part of that 1% of the population. Third, I think you've got a set of faculty, right, who are very spirited, who are very committed to the development of students. Okay. They do not work under pressure. They work under a lot of freedom. The institution wants to invest in them all the time in developing them. So in turn, they develop you all the time. So you've got a wonderful set of faculty who are committed in making it happen. Lastly, one of the most critical thing is this institution, one of the main reasons for having this kind of standing and reputation is simple. The alumni network that you have out of the 60 or 62 years, no, a little more than that, it's close to 70 years, assuming that each year you had about 500 students passing out. When I was there, it was just 50 students passing out year on year. Now it has almost become like 700 a year. It could be about 300, 400 a year at graduation and post-graduation level. So you've got a very, very big network of alumni, whichever part of the country that you go to, that you will have an MSSW person over there. Different walks of life, be that an entrepreneur. I don't know how many of you connected to what Ajit presented. He is a promoter of a company which is probably about 13,000-14,000 crores today, right? A first generation entrepreneur hitting a revenue of 13,000-14,000 crores possibly is one of those 2-3 people who achieved this kind of level. That's a kind of character, that's a kind of quality this institute produces, right? So you will have MSW, I mean, our alumni not only in India, they're in US, they're in Europe. Wherever you walk across that, you've got a good alumni network that actually you know, like in the running, you are getting the inner circle and you're having a good start block. I think it's for you to really make use of the opportunity what you have. There is a famous person named Stephen Covey, right? He was a person who spoke on leadership. One of his principles is begin with the end in mind, right? Just keep this is a place where you can have fun. This is a place where you can experiment. This is a place where you can take risk. This is a place where you can do a number of things. But however, keep it in mind, your end, your desire is what I want to be 2 years from now. Okay, the 2 years from now is your start block. So you should begin with the end in mind. What I want to be. Do you want to be a teacher? Do you want to be a HR professional? Do you want to be a medical psychiatric worker? Whatever that you plan to do, right? The first probably out of 100 meters, the first 10 meters is the way that you would like to shape yourself in the next 2 years, right? You should be able to learn and experiment. I keep telling people, I was never a studious student. I never went back and did homework or, I was not very academically oriented kind of person. But I always used to hit the top 3-4 in the class, which was very, very difficult to achieve. The simple most thing that what I did was listen to the teachers. I asked them questions. One of my colleagues said that he used to ask questions to union leader. And those days, I'm talking about 30 years back, the union leader was asked him that, Sweetan, you become intelligent. He used to ask him how I became intelligent. He says, because you asked a question, you don't remain illiterate anymore. Okay? Be open about, right? How much you do not know. Okay, the minute you start asking questions, that how much you do not know becomes how much you know. Just be open, you will learn a lot. Third one is build aspirations. Okay, when Ajit Isaac, an employee's son living in Ananagar, a local boy, can become a 14,000, 13,000 crore entrepreneur, one can become anything. Right? I'm sure that Ajit would have invested a lot in them. Right, you get light-hearted examples, etc., God messed with Mallu, etc. Keep all that aside, right? There are a number of examples like this, right? Who are passed out of this institution. They have really made themselves big in whichever field that they are in, right? That's an opportunity for you. Build aspiration. Sky is the limit, right? That's the third one. And you must learn a lesson from a bear. I don't know how many of you know the bear. First, it's active during the normal season. During winter, it actually hibernates. It hibernates to prepare itself for the times to come for the times to come. So it actually takes a lot of food. It hibernates. It goes to sleep, half sleep. Now your education these 2 years need to be taken that way. This hibernation is not exactly sleeping. This hibernation is all about conserving that energy, collecting that energy, so that you'll be able to run very, very well for possibly for next 35 years, next 40 years, next 50 years, for the limitless period that you have in front of you. Okay. Next one is, future is far better than how it was 10 years back, how it was 20 years back. I don't know how many of you, please read, go to the library. I don't want to be I don't want to be advising, but then to know, you need to know. To know, you need to be aware. To be aware, you need to learn. You need to be commonsensically be aware, right? A few days back, Economic Times said this country is by 2030 could be a $10 trillion economy. Assume that we don't hit 10 trillion. Assume we hit about 5 trillion. What's the opportunity that's there in front of each one of you? Huge, right? Now it depends on how much of, how much of the chunk that you would like to consume for yourself, right? One can take a little piece, one can take a larger piece. All that I'm saying is there's a huge opportunity available in front of you, which you should be willing to take. Okay, right? Just register some of the principles what Ajit spoke about. Okay, walk with those principles at the back of your mind. Integrity. Integrity is just not financial integrity, intellectual integrity, social integrity, right? Number of things that what you can speak of. Okay, have that as your companion. Okay, give it all. Whatever that you have, give your best shot all the time. Even if you come last in the race, does not matter. You are given yourself the best. I think that will make you blossom your life. Other important thing that what you need to have in your mind is help others all the time. Look at Mr. Matthew. I mean, all these people are doing a honorary job. For what purpose? This institution that where you are getting in does not belong to anybody, right? A set of honorary people who are doing for the development of the institute. It just fundamentally comes from that wanting to help others all the time. I think I'm sure a number of you will learn social work. Social work is all about helping one to help himself, right? First, you should also start helping yourself so that you are in a position to help all others, right? You're just starting a journey. You're starting a wonderful journey. Invest in yourself, right? Learn, have aspiration, begin with the end in mind, right? Make a real success out of yourself. To conclude, I think I picked up the line from the college song, shine like the diamond that you are. Okay, that's your journey. I'm sure all of us over here, or those people like, the person who polishes the diamond, we will do our job, shine like the diamond that you are. All the very best. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for the gracious felicitation and the motivational address full of optimism and positive energy. And now we'll have a small presentation. It's a glimpse of what MSSW does and what it stands for. There's only a brief overview of what you can look forward to. So Professor Jerry will now play the AV.
Established in 1952 and founded by the great visionary and social entrepreneur, late Mrs. Mary Clubwala Jadhav, the Madras School of Social Work is the #1 social work institution in South India. Based in the heart of one of the world's leading IT hubs, Chennai, Tamil Nadu in India, the Madras School of Social Work is totally dedicated to produce world-class professionals who can impact social change and nurture development. MSSW, as the institution is popularly known as, offers a wide variety of courses in social work and social work-related disciplines such as psychology, sociology, counseling, human resource management, and development management. The vision of Madras School of Social Work is to be known as an institution that produces the highest caliber of human capital aimed at overall growth and development of society. The mission of the Madras School of Social Work is the establishment of a learning environment that is realistic, innovative, and leadership-oriented, keeping in view the social challenges at the local, national, and global levels. In a span of 60 years, the Madras School of Social Work has grown from 25 students to over 600 professionals. and from a small sheltered classroom to a 250,000 square feet campus. In terms of ranking, the Madras School of Social Work is ranked number 3 among all social work institutions in India and one of the top 10 professional institutions in the country. As of today, the Madras School of Social Work has produced over 4,000 professionals in various social work and social work related fields. From Auckland in New Zealand to Ohio in the United States, from medical, social justice, human rights, psychiatry, community social work, to IT, retail, manufacturing, counseling, and a host of other innovative fields such as environment, entrepreneurship, and many other related specializations. Besides imparting quality training and life skills, the Madras School of Social Work also works with marginalized groups in societies, such as working with transgenders, physically and economically challenged rural and urban communities, juvenile delinquents, and other similar marginalized groups. The Madras School of Social Work is recognized as an empaneled training institution to train NSS program officers in Tamil Nadu and Pondicherry. Besides NSS, the Madras School of Social Work offers short courses on counseling, project management, communications, and other specialized areas. The Madras School of Social Work also boasts of a superior research facility whereby it can undertake both qualitative and quantitative research on any socio-economic and environmental issues for government, corporates, and international organizations. The uniqueness of the Madras School of Social Work is the intelligent blend of a realistic curriculum and an innovative training environment. The curriculum is built on realities that lie outside the four walls of the institution, and the training is conducted by highly qualified and dedicated faculty who have rich experience in these realities. The entire learning process is further made enjoyable by the institution's alumni, who are an integral part of the curriculum, training, and placement. Besides imparting the desired knowledge and skills, the alumni trains students to apply social work methods innovatively in fields such as schools, colleges, and various other work environments. The Madras School of Social Work alumni also extends personal, professional, and financial support to deserving students who hail from severe economically challenged backgrounds. Due to its unmatched performance in the training of its professionals, the Madras School of Social Work has achieved its autonomous status in the year 2006. Due to its significant contributions to education, training, and empowerment, and its rich affiliation at the state, national, and international level, the Madras School of Social Work enjoys a sound global brand image. Ever since its inception, the institution has recorded visits by a great number of high-achieving personalities such as Dr. R. Venkatraman, Dr. V.V. Giri, former presidents of India. The Madras School of Social Work has also produced Padma Shri Dr. Shanti Ranganathan of TTK. The heads of the institution who have made significant contribution to the growth and development of MSSW includes Professor K.N. George, former director, and late Mr. P.C. Matthew, former president of SSER. With a very forward-looking board, a highly committed team of faculty members, energetic students, a dynamic team of alumni from across the globe, and a very highly supportive members of the PTA, the Madras School of Social Work is all out to take the institution to the next level of excellence.
Thank you, Jerry. So hope you have all enjoyed the session and cherished each and every nuance of it. Let the vibe carry each one of you to greater places. And we have come to an end of this program. I request Dr. Shakti Rekha to deliver the vote of thanks.
Thank you, Dr. Janaki. Hope I'm audible. Hello, everyone. It is my pleasure to propose vote of thanks in the inauguration of this new batch of students at Madras School of Social Work. At the outset, my congratulations to new students for having got the admission in this institution, which was established by the great service-minded person, Mrs. Mary Klabwala Jadhav. It is a great joy and a proud moment to have Mr. Ajit Isaac, an illustrious alumnus of Madras School of Social Work, amidst us to inaugurate this new batch of students of MSSW. I am sure his presence and words inspired all of us, particularly the young minds of students here. The institution will be waiting for many Isaacs to come back and inaugurate the new batches in the years to come, in future. We are really thankful to you, sir, for taking your time to be with us and sharing your thoughts. Our heartfelt thanks to the chairman, secretary, and other management members for their participation and support in realizing the vision of this great institution. My sincere thanks to the principal of Madras School of Social Work for spearheading all the missions of Madras School of Social Work. I would like to thank the dean, heads of the departments, program heads, faculty members, and the admin staff for their support in achieving the objectives of the college. My thanks are due students and alumni for their support as important stakeholders of this great institution. Thank you all who directly or indirectly contributed for this successful inauguration of this 70th batch of MSS students at MSSW. Thank you once again. Have a good day.
Thank you, ma'am. So we have come to an end of this program. Just a gentle reminder, you have a student induction program at 2 o'clock today. So kindly log in the same login ID.
Thank you, Mr. Ajit and others. Thank you, sirs. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Yeah.